Hello and good day. Welcome, everyone. I guess I would like to talk to you about seizures today, considering that it rained and it didn't just rain, it thunderstormed last night. About 2:30, 2:15, I just wake up to her thrashing in her bed. So we immediately run downstairs and we're able to give her her rescue medicine, which we use medical marijuana for. 1 ml rectally within 30 seconds to a minute will stop her seizure activity. That has been the only rescue medicine that has worked for her in 9 years. Yeah. Her seizure started when she was 3 months old. Her first indication was her eyelid just drooped as far down as I've ever seen an eyelid droop. And I thought she was stroking. So I immediately ran her up to the hospital and find out that she's seizing, and they're not doing anything. They're not giving her medicine to stop them. She's just continuing to seize. And, knowing what I know now, I understand it, but when you're in that first, I don't want to call it phase, but when you're in that first experience, of seizures and understanding what they are, and you've heard of them and they're scary, and your 3-month-old is having them. It's a lot to process. It's a lot to handle, and the first thing that goes to your head is, what did I do wrong? Was it because I wasn't able to nurse? She unfortunately was born by C-section, and I was unable to nurse. She was unable to latch on right away, which I fully believe is from the medications to subdue me. And she wasn't able to hold her temperature, her body temperature up. And because of that, spinal tap was ordered. Let me back up. First, we were in the hospital. We were at our local hospital where she was born, and we were in the NICU unit, and the nurses were concerned. They were watching her. She wasn't presenting like all the other newborns were. Like I said, we were trying to nurse. I was pumping. I would put her on if she wouldn't latch on. I would give her the bottle of my breast milk, and I was trying to do that so that I could hurry up and get us home, because I knew that once we got home, we would calm down. I could figure it out. I just wanted to get her home. And after 7 days of being at our local hospital, we were transferred to our children's hospital, and we were there for another 10 days. And that's where they did the spinal tap. Because, on day 5 of her being in the NIC unit is when they were starting to hear murmurs in her heart when they would listen to the chest. And so they ordered, an EKG, and they ordered an ultrasound, and the ultrasound showed holes in the heart, which they explained to me, which I hate the term cottage cheese heart. I don't know, I get the concept, but come on, we have to use that description. One doesn't describe the other. Holes in the heart did just fine. And I was okay with it. I was okay with that information. It wasn't life-altering. It wasn't life-changing. So we had the spinal tap done. And while we were at the children's hospital, that's when they placed the NG tube. It went right into her stomach. We had to feed her that way in order to leave the hospital, because at that point she had completely stopped latching on. I said when you're in the hospital, they come in routinely and they take blood, and the easiest way to get it from newborns is either the heel, and once that's been, poked how many times, they take it from the veins in the head. And that's really hard to watch too. It's not a pleasant sight. So anyways, I walk into the hospital room. They transported her by ambulance. I was unable to ride with them because she was in the big incubator. And I just walk into this, this NG tube. She she just looked completely different. Her head was all wrapped up differently than how it had been, and it just didn't look good. It didn't look good. I had, unfortunately, family members wanting to cancel Christmas because there was misinformation going around that she was actually dying, which made that extremely hard for me as well because, here I am trying to process all of this that I'm going through with her and trying to console other people, my gosh, at Christmas time that, no, you can't cancel Christmas. Hello, there's other children involved here, not just mine. Pardon me, I have something in my eyelash. The joys of sitting outside with the wind blowing your hair. I apologize. And yeah, interesting experience, let me tell you. Me consoling someone else when my child is the one who's in the NICU unit. Yeah, so long story short, we get home after 17 days. I had to take her back into the pediatrician's office to get the results, and we walked in, and I could tell she was nervous energy, and I wouldn't sit down. And she said, Ida, go ahead and have a seat. And I said, no, I'm okay. And she kept trying to get me to sit down, and I said, Cindy, I know what you're going to tell me, and it's okay. And that's when she proceeded to explain that Gabriella was missing the tip of her first chromosome, and she had something called 1p36 deletion syndrome. And I encourage you all to go and Google that and see what comes up, because you are given the worst case scenario ever. When you're trying to figure out what's going on and the news that you've just been given, your whole world is closing in on you. You're being crushed. There's no one there to save you. You just have to figure it out. You just, you dig down deep and you don't give up. So 9 years of seizures. We have been on multiple medications. She does have the diagnosis of Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, which is a very tough form of epilepsy. It's one of the I shouldn't say rare forms, but one of the more common forms that does not respond to pharmaceutical drugs. And that's why we chose to use medical marijuana. Like I said, it's her rescue medicine. I also use it as a Valium type of medicine when she starts getting anxious or starts doing her legs. And it's not from constipation or, it's kind of a guessing game. You got to pay attention to the environment, what's going on. But I use that. I give her 0.2 of her rescue medicine. And within, 15 to 20 minutes, you can just see her the edge comes off. She's just, and we're okay. She's able to go out and have a good night. There's some nights where she's so, anxious and so everything's just tied up in knots. She can't eat. Unless I give her rescue medicine, and you can just see it's like night and day. You can just see her just take this deep breath, this weight just it comes off of her, and she's able to therefore have dinner. So it's very important that you do your homework and you educate yourself so that you understand that there are more than just one option out there. And for us, pharmaceuticals didn't work, and they don't work for everyone. And for those that they do work for, I congratulate you. That's awesome that they work for you, and keep doing what you're doing because you're doing something right. But when you're doing something that is supposed to be right and it doesn't work, that's when you have to figure it out. And that's what we've been doing. So the seizure started at 3 months of age and progressed to daily seizures. We would have to give her diastat rectally and immediately have to call the ambulance or be taken into the hospital. Diastat, can stop the heart in newborns, in anybody really, especially newborns because of how tiny they are. And it wasn't until she was, I want to say we had been running back and forth to the hospital probably 4 or 5 months. And finally, the neurologist, kind of pulled me aside and she said, you can do this at home. You have everything that you need. You can take care of this at home. And that was all I needed. I needed somebody to, not believe in me, but say, hey, you got this. You can do this. You're tough. You got this. And I'm so thankful that she did that, because they weren't doing anything differently than I was doing. They really weren't. When it comes right down to it, they weren't. Nothing controls her seizures. Nothing was stopping her seizures. So why keep putting ourselves in this situation? So that was a really, a good eye opener for me. A really good eye opener, and that has resonated with me, and it's helped lead me through these 9 years. She's had 4 today. We had a nice hard thunderstorm roll through, and it's hard to watch her go through. It doesn't get easier. I don't want to say it gets harder, but your perception changes. When she would first have them, I can remember my sister-in-law was over with my niece, and my son, my older son at the time was 13 years old, and he had to come home every couple of hours and check in, just because, I was so busy with her, I couldn't just keep track of his whereabouts, so I needed him to check in with me every couple of hours. And, here I am talking with my sister-in-law, and across the room, I hear her start to seize, so I immediately run over and take care of her. And my sister-in-law, unfortunately, that was the first time that she had witnessed that, and panicked, and needed to leave, which, it's a scary thing, I get that. And my older son, is right in my face, Mom, I'm going to Jason's. And it was such a surreal moment, because here I am essentially watching the life of my baby in front of me, and I still have to cognitively have a conversation with my son and look over at my sister-in-law and realize what's going on with her, and that she's okay, and that she's leaving. As we're waiting for the ambulance, I think I was on the phone actually with the ambulance. Your whole world feels like it's closing in on you, like it's crushing you. It takes a piece away from you. It's hard to explain. If you allow it to control you, it takes a piece of you every time your child has a seizure. And I've gotten to the point now to where I can accept her seizures, because they are a part of her, and that's okay. I don't need to internalize those seizures. I don't need to make them about me, because they're not about me. I'm not the one who's having them. All I need to do is be there for her and encourage her and support her and love her through that. That's all I need to do. And once I was able to make that transition and that realization, I'm at a different level now. Before, they would just completely wipe me out. It was all I could do to, stay awake. Like I said, I would internalize all of it and make it about me. And now, I'm able to give her the support that she needs, and hold her head and tell her it's okay, and do what needs to be done, and she's a great little teacher, let me tell you. Things you didn't think that you needed to know, or, that ignorance is bliss crap. Yeah, she's a great little teacher, and she's a warrior. She's a princess warrior. She's got it going on, This life has thrown many hurdles her way. Many hurdles. And by golly, she's hurdling them right back. She's saying, whatever you can give me, life, I can give right back at you. I admire her tenacity and her drive and that little giggle. As I close, I would like to leave you with this last little image. At the end of the month, her school will get together an assembly, and they will pull different like Hallmark holidays that that day's famous for the week or for the month. And on Thursday there was something famous about the dogs or some kind of dog. So the principal, they played Who Let the Dogs Out. And her teacher took her to the front of that gym and wheeled her around. And she was happy and giggling. She was showing off her puppy dog. She was showing off her dog, and she was happy. So with that, enjoy yourselves. Be kind to one another and spread your love. Share your love. Don't ever stop. Thank you.